Hello everybody, my name is Ian Kirkpatrick. I'm an author, idiot, and loin streamer, and today we're going to be doing an update on generative AI related news because it has been about a month, I think, since the last video. Why not end the year out with talking about this degenerate issue over here? I don't know what else to call it. It's degenerate, but let's talk about this. And there's so much going on that it's ridiculous how much there is to catch up in literally just a month. And there's some stuff in here that you're going to want to hear that has to do with child abuse materials. But before we get started, number one, if you enjoy what I do here on the channel, please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Number two, if you would like to be featured on the channel, check out the links down in the description below. The number one way to be featured is through Lemoi, the monthly prompt writing contest, where I give you a prompt, you write a short story using that prompt, and the first Monday video of the month is basking in that creative greatness of you guys, that is. And the second way to be featured is if you are an indie author and you have a book out or a book that is coming out. If you submit your first chapter and your cover, they'll be read here on the channel at a random interval to hopefully help more readers find your work. Because I'm trying to do what I can to spread as much with the indie work as I can, because there is some really incredible stuff out there. And this year, I have discovered some incredible books for the ones that I have picked out of the Fresh Meat feature to read more of. So it's definitely like a grab all of find the thing that just tickles your pickle, and it is probably in there somewhere. There is a variety of books in there and a variety of styles and interests. So try that. And then the third thing is if you would like to check out any of my books, you can find them at any of your favorite places to get books, including the library upon request. And then join us for book clubs on Friday night, just where we read books you guys picked. Except first book of 2024 is going to be an indie that I've picked by a Serbian author who really puts himself fully into his work. So we're going to go and enjoy his book together. But with that said, let's jump into the news. We do a lot here to support and celebrate and just love creators and artists of all kinds, but we do not support thieves or producers here, because like the product producers, because like producers who help fund and generate the creative product, the creative interests, great. Producers who just generate garbage so that they can sell it and maximize profit, no. We do not celebrate you here. I'm not sorry about that. So, starting off hot here, controversial AI platform CiviDropped dropped by its cloud computing providers after reports of possible child sexual abuse material, or CSAM. OctoML says that it has ended its business relationship with CiviDropped days after it was revealed that the text-to-image platform was being used to generate images that could be categorized as child pornography. Civ AI previously relied on OctoML's Octo AI for image generation, while OctoML initially indicated that it would continue working with Civ AI and introduce new measures to curb the creation of harmful images. 404 Media reported on Saturday that it has now decided to cut ties with the platform altogether. According to 404 Media's December 5th report, internal communication showed that OctoML was aware of some CiviDropped users were creating sexually explicit materials that included non-consensual images of real people and pornographic depictions of children. In a follow-up report this weekend, the publication noted that OctoML rolled out a filter to block the generations of not safe for work content on CiviDropped AI before announcing its decision to pull out. CiviDropped AI also added new moderation methods in response to the investigation earlier this week, including a mandatory embedding called CiviDropped Safe Helper that bars the models from generating images of children if a mature theme or keyword is detected. Anderson Horowitz-backed CiviDropped has previously come under scrutiny for its bounties feature that challenged users to create realistic images of real people for rewards. In November, 404 Media found it being used to make non-consensual deepfakes of celebrities, influencers, and even private citizens that were, in many cases, sexual in nature. The subjects were primarily women. According to 404 Media, CiviDropped AI has since added a filter to prevent the creation of not safe for work content featuring certain celebrities. Nevertheless, OctoML, which uses Amazon Web Services servers, no longer wants to be involved. In a statement to 404 Media on Saturday, OctoML said, "We have decided to terminate our business relationship with CiviDropped. This decision aligns with our commitment to ensuring the safe and responsible use of AI." So if you recall, in I think the last video I did, it talked about the bounties where people would say, hey, take this image and make it not safe for work, and then I will pay you, and then they would get paid coins that they could spend or turn into cash. And so that was also turning into creation of revenge porn of private citizens, as well as creating pornography of celebrities, as it said. We also, in the case of using generative AI to create scams and not safe for work content, you also have this situation where there have been bots that were using this sort of scam. And I've seen it with other people, including YouTubers like Star Wars Girl, having their images taken, done through this thing to then spam other people saying, hey, buy my thing, and then you can undress this girl via AI, and selling this undressing function to people. Now, I've seen some try to argue that if there's a market for it, then you should be able to sell it, because that's capitalism, baby. There is a time when, I'm sorry, but that ends. The idea that the highest priority is making money, and as long as you can make money off of it, you should be able to do it. No, you don't get to take somebody's likeness and then sell it as nudity without their permission. That's immoral. And, you know, you can't change somebody's mind on immorality. There's nothing that you can really do other than making things illegal, which, as far as I'm concerned, this is a form of sexual harassment, if not sexual abuse of the unconsenting party. And then, you know, they were buying, as Reed points out here, and then the people using these scams were buying ads on Twitter to then boost it into people's feeds and between tweets on people's profiles. So that's great. CiviDropped is not the only AI generative company that is having issues with child abuse materials written in them. Largest dataset powering AI images removed after discovering of child sexual abuse materials. The LAION 5B machine's learning dataset used by Stable Diffusion and other major AI products, I assume that means Midjourney too, has been removed by the organization that created it after a Stanford study found that it contains 3,226 suspected instances of child sexual abuse materials, 1,008 of which were externally validated. So that means that anybody using this, paying for these data sets, is paying for child sexual abuse material, using child sexual abuse material, which is also not surprising, and people have been saying that this was going to happen, or did already happen, since all they were doing was scraping everything they could off the internet. So of course they were going to use child sexual abuse material. LAION told 404 Media on Tuesday that out of an abundance of caution, it was taking down its datasets, including LAION 5B and another called LAION 400M, temporarily to ensure that they are safe before republishing. According to a new study by Stanford Internet Observatory shared with 404 Media ahead of publication, the researchers found the suspected instances of CSAM through a combination of perceptual and cryptographic hash-based detections and analyses of the images themselves. We find that having possession of the LAION 5B dataset populated even in late 2023 implies the possession of thousands of illegal images, not including all of the intimate imagery published and gathered non-consensually, the legality of which is more viable by jurisdiction. While the amount of CSAM present does not necessarily indicate that the presence of CSAM drastically influences the output of the models above and beyond the model's ability to combine and conceptualize the sexual activities in children, likely still does exert influence. The presence of repeated identical instances of CSAM is also problematic, particularly due to the reinforcement of images of specific victims, because the data set learns from this stuff. It's in the background of the stuff and it uses it again and again, pushing it forward. But also, the fact that they can have these fingerprints to understand the hashtags and the hashes and the data sets and the information within these shows that you can also find who the artists are that these people are stealing from, so you can't make the argument that it's impossible to find the artists whose data went into these things. The findings highlights the danger of largely indiscriminate scraping of the internet for the purpose of generative artificial intelligence. Large-scale artificial intelligence open networks, or LAION, is a nonprofit organization that creates open source tools for machine learning. LAION 5B is one of the biggest and most popular products. It is made up of more than 5 billion links to images scraped from the open web, including user-generated social media platforms, and it is used to train the most popular AI generation models currently on the market. Stable Diffusion, for example, uses LAION 5B, and Stability AI funded its development. If you have downloaded that full dataset for whatever purpose, for training a model for research purposes, then yes, you can absolutely have CSAM, unless you took some extraordinary measures to stop it. David Thiel, lead author of the study and chief technologist of the Stanford Internet Observatory, told 404 Media. So there's more to this that we can't see because we're not a subscriber, but there is that. So how you feeling about using that generative AI now, my guy? Moving on from the LAION issue, we also have this, where Animate Anyone can generate videos of anyone with a single image and bit of pose guidance. Reed Southern asks a good question here, which is, who does this help? Why do we need this? Even ignoring the potential for misinformation and serious harm, the end result is a tsunami of low-effort, meaningless content that only serves to further degrade humanity and culture. Because more content does not mean good content or better content. It just means watering everything down. It's pointless if you don't put effort or feeling or you into it. And Monty and I sort of talked about this on Thursday with the discussion of Mary Sue, where you as an artist put your stuff, yourself, into what you're doing. And if you don't, there's really no point to it. It doesn't need to exist. So what is the point of all of this, where you're just flooding the system with as much garbage as you possibly can? Well, really, that's what it is. Like, what is the point of this? The end result is this. The goal is spamming content. It buries everything else, because at no point is there any purpose to overrunning everything with made up approximations, amalgamations of everything that has been scraped from the internet. There is no purpose or meaning behind any of it, except, and this is from Stream Diffusion, can now generate images at almost 100 FPS on a local computer with a GPU. What is the purpose? Oh, to just overrun everything. Then we go over here to excited to announce the Digi, the future of AI romantic companionships. Again, what is the purpose of this? Who does this help? What problems does this solve? It doesn't really solve loneliness. It doesn't solve people. It doesn't solve issues with discussion or creating connections or learning how to talk to people. It doesn't do any of that. I could just as easily romance a random person on a video game, but is that fulfilling? Is that for me? No, this is not a real person. It does not give you that second half of your soul. All it does is distract you until the end, until there is nobody and nothing, and you are all by yourself, and then you end it. Because this is not a person, and there is a connection within people that gives you what your soul craves, that gives you what you need, that an AI girlfriend cannot do. But this is going to profitize off the loneliness, nihilism, and awkwardness of people who cannot, or who struggle with social situations, and they will never get better because you are trapping them in this cage with whatever this is, this nightmare, this Pixar nightmare. And then you've got this, which goes in line with previous generative stuff, endless generative stuff, and then animating movements with just a picture and some movement. So listen to this for a little bit.
All presented by our team of AI-generated reporters.
Maybe you hear the words artificial intelligence and you're immediately skeptical.
Everything went crazy. It scattered all over the place. You see that? We had
and new baby emperor penguin, the first one of its species to be born there since 2010.
Newcomer Kala Lane alongside an ensemble of heavy hitters like Olivia Colman, Hugh Grant, Sally Hawkins, and Rowan Atkinson.
Program in countries and languages across
information and the origins of water and carbon, which led to life here on Earth.
Ukraine is struggling to make military and diplomatic gains.
So the entire clip was produced from AI, produced by AI, from actors to the voices and the visuals. It's one person. So what is the purpose for creating a news segment that is entirely AI generated? It doesn't actually give you any nuance. It doesn't tell you what's true. It can't even guess what's true. It can't do anything. What it does is it creates a false, and it can't be checked by anything. But if every presenter is generative AI, if it's a machine, then there's no way to check against any of this. You just get fed what you get fed, and you're going to deal with it, and that's just what you get. This is all to create false reality. It's going to create a false reality where nothing matters, where you can't tell the truth from fiction. There's no point in this. Like, who does artificially created news help? Answer that. Because it's not the people that are going to the news for information. Moving on from that, you got OpenAI launches web crawler GPT Bots, sparking blocking efforts on website owners and creators. So without fanfare or an official announcement, ChatGPT maker OpenAI launched a new website crawling bot this week for scanning website content to train its large language model. After news of the bot broke, a revolt ensued as website owners and creators quickly traded tips on how to block ChatGPT from scraping their website data. So I guess I don't want to say it's coming for you after it's come for the artists, but you know, it's coming for everybody. And it should not be applauded. It should not be rubbed in anybody's faces. It should be everybody standing together to say, no. We're not giving corporations the ability to steal everything about us from us to then charge us for our own data that it stole from us or our friends or our peers or anybody. When OpenAI added GPT bot support page, it also introduced a way to block the service from scraping your website. A small modification to the website's robots.txt file would stop the content from being shared with OpenAI. However, due to how extensively the web is scraped otherwise, it's unclear if simply blocking GPT will completely stop content from being included in the LLM training data. We periodically collect public data from the internet, which may be used to improve the capabilities, accuracy, and safety of future models. An OpenAI spokesperson said in an email, there you go, is the reason to turn that freaking feature off on everything that you own. On our website, we provide instructions on how to disallow our collection of bot from accessing a site. Web pages are filtered to remove sources that have paywalls, are known to gather personal identifiable information, or have text that violates our policies. Web outlets like The Verge have already added the robot's text flag to stop the OpenAI model from grabbing content to add to the LLMs. Casey Newton has asked readers of his Substack Letters platform if he should stop OpenAI from collecting his content. Neil Clark, editor of the sci-fi magazine Clark's World, announced that it would block GPT Bot. Shortly after GPT Bot launch became public, OpenAI announced a $395,000 grant in partnership with New York University. Led by former Reuters editor-in-chief Stephen Alder, NYU's Ethics and Journalism Initiative aims to aid students in developing responsible ways to leverage AI in news business. I don't see how AI can help you with anything in news since you are observing and responding to things actively. But you know, while a little more control over what gets to use content to the open net is handy, it's still unclear how effective simply blocking GPT Bot would be at stopping LLMs from gobbling up content that isn't locked behind a paywall. LLMs and other generative AI platforms have already used massive collections of public data to train data sets that are currently employed. Questions of web scraping fairness remain before the courts. So one of the main things that comes with copyright infringement, by the way, in case you haven't looked up what classifies as copyright infringement in the US, one of the sections includes the effect on the marketplace of the original. And so if you mess up the market for the original thing that you have infringed on, that is actually a copyright infringement. That is like number 4 out of the 3 things. And that is entirely what generative AI does. In fact, to the point that the people using generative AI brag about how they want to destroy the market for the people they are stealing the works from. So it is openly a copyright violation, though it is still or was still in court because court takes time. But there is very little way to argue against the copyright violation of these things when you look at things like it's clearly spitting out training data. Here's someone prompting Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie 2019 screenshots from the movie scenes. Like it's clearly stealing from things. I don't know how you can even pretend that it is not stealing other people's data and then just spitting out. It's literally a Google search that people are pretending is not a Google search. Midjourney is back to blatant plagiarism again. They really can't seem to fix it. It's almost inherent in the tech. The people using Midjourney are going to have a field day with this. And you look in here, Mona Lisa prompt. Don't even know what to say about this. All you gotta do is say Mona Lisa. All you gotta say is Van Gogh's The Night. And you want to tell me that this isn't blatant plagiarism? Really? Really? Speaking of plagiarism, also it's funny. So this is something that comes back to, you could not have that exist if you did not have the original, because this plagiarized this. This is such an abomination, it's not even funny. It takes away the artistry, the understanding of how to do claymation. It is literally a filter on top of somebody else's work. So what, that you can claim that you did it? You didn't do anything. These actors, the Samuel Jackson, everybody involved in the movie is what created that. And then you have just created the same thing akin to a freaking Snapchat filter in order to steal somebody else's work and pretend that you've got any sort of artistry where you don't. You're just jealous. You're unskilled. You're angry, maybe. But like, what is this? Why would you be proud of something you didn't do but stick it through a filter? Do you make fun of women who use filters on their phones to then look prettier in the phone than they are in real life? Or would you applaud that because it's the same thing? Copyright Office rejects Ankit Sani's second request for consideration of registering an image created using the AI painting app. The work had previously been recognized for copyright protection in India. The application it took to register the work was filed in December of 2021, listing Sani and the AI app as the two authors. The USCO asked for more information, so Sani sent a 17-page supplement explaining the technology and how it was used, the process. Sani started off with the original photograph, input the photograph into Raghav, the AI app, along with the image Van Gogh's Starry Night for the style to copy. Sani chose a variable value, determining the amount of style to transfer. In June of 2022, the U.S. Copyright Office refused to register the work because of a lack of human authorship, noting that the inability to separate the human authorship from the final work produced by the computer program. In September of 2022, Sani requested a reconsideration. Sani argued that the human authorship requirement does not and cannot mean a work must be created entirely by a human author. But the United States Copyright Office still upheld the refusal following the first request to reconsider. The office found the work was a classic example of derivative authorship because it was digital adaptation of a photograph. Basically, the original photograph is protectable human authorship, but the digital manipulation is not protectable derivative. Here is a side-by-side comparison of the original photograph in Van Gogh's Starry Night. So he literally just tried to drop a filter onto his own photograph, which the photograph is fine. Why? It's not a work of art. It's not painting if you put a filter over an image. It's the original image that is the actual thing. I don't understand how this is so hard to understand. Then you get in here. It's, oh my gosh, this guy. Freaking this guy. This is what we have to deal with as artists. We spend time and effort to create a particular piece, and this guy stole and fed into an AI. Took me about a day and a half to complete, from the rough sketch through to the final piece. He has stolen a piece of art from my social media that I use to publicize my business to feed my family. This blatant theft of my artwork by using AI, that you are normalizing this, and the destruction of artistic careers, not to mention any future artists. I have not and will not never consent to someone taking my art to be recreated by the algorithms. So this goes back to in here, where the author created, or where the artist created this original image, and this guy right here stuck it into a thing to immediately put it through other things. Not only that, not only did this guy steal the art to put through the generative AI, he freaking dared to put a watermark on it with his website on it. Are you joking me? Speak of freaking narcissism. But there's no way to talk to somebody like this. As they continue, artificial intelligence doesn't steal, it can only be inspired. Does a writer who learns to write by reading other authors, can they be called a plagiarist? Learn from and being inspired by other authors and artists is a common practice. Plagiarism specifically involves copying. They continue to use this without understanding or by being completely insincere. Reed Southern, wild how the proposed solution to problems created by AI are just to throw more AI at it. CEO of Stability AI, Emad, is using the gun argument where only a good guy with AI can stop a bad guy with AI. And Emad said, yes, centralized AI is bad, glad you agree. Unless we give everyone their own AI aligned to them, we will be imprisoned by the panoptic icon of the all panopticons. Glad to have the support of all of those who want to avoid this. So that you should all have your own AI, and this is common essential infrastructure for humanity, even as big corporations and companies build their own variants to occupy the attention of and minds. How about instead of AI? And telling people whom you're stealing from and profitizing from that maybe you just appreciate them instead of bootlegged versions of their work. I think Microsoft, and then over here to Chamba Bupe, Microsoft and OpenAI forgot something. Writers and artists say that it's against the rules to use their copyrighted work and contents to build content for AI models. This goes back to Alice Heath here, who says OpenAI and Microsoft say it's against their rules to use their GPT API apps to build a competing AI model. So you're not allowed to use OpenAI or Microsoft to build a competing model, but you are allowed to use artists and information and everything from everywhere else to build competition against everybody else. Ilya on LLMs understanding the world. Predicting the next token well means that you understand the underlying reality that led the creation of that token. GPT-4 doesn't have the same cognition as humans, even if it pretended to predict the next word on tons of humans' written text and been fine-tuned by human feedback on specific tasks. What you end up with is a system that just looks upon the next token based on what's in its data set. There is no thinking, no understanding whatsoever in ChatGPT-4, just compression and interpolation. Have you ever talked to somebody and they just come out of the wall with something that is totally insane? Or, you know, read a book maybe where the story took a completely weird turn because you didn't expect it and it didn't necessarily make sense, and really maybe the entire story didn't make sense because it was written by a nut job. Like, those are things that this can't do because it doesn't think, it doesn't feel, it doesn't express. It goes based off of the majority of its data set, which is predictive, which is unthinking, which is following patterns, that does not think outside of the pattern. And that's what you're going to get stuck with. This is one of the things I've talked about in previous videos when talking about how the generative AI traps you into thinking. Maybe if you're not a creative person, you'll think that you're being freed because you don't know what it's like to think outside of the box. And I'm sorry if that hurts to hear, but if you use this stuff, if you rely on this stuff, you are stunting your own thought. You are outsourcing thought. And maybe that's because you don't think like that normal ways, normal times, because you don't do it that often or at all. But you're outsourcing that creative thought to something else. And when you go, well, I don't think that it really matters. I mean, what else is there? It tells me you don't think like that. It tells me you don't think outside of the box, outside of the rules. You don't create. Google Way's Gemini AI project to tell people their life story using phone data and apps. The team has demonstrated the Elman chat with a description, imagine opening ChatGPT, but already knows everything about your life. Who is that for? Who does that solve? Are we going to lean more into the question? The question really here is this the next thing after tarot cards? Are ChatGPT, two AI bros, equal to tarot cards for women and horoscopes for women? Like, is that where we are? Because I see no point in having a computer look at you before you do anything and then assign, oh, this is how your life is going to be based on how you are. Look, reading how somebody acts, understanding behaviors, understanding commonalities between what they do is completely different. Or making predictions is completely different than actually what happens. People's lives change so drastically from week to week, month to month, year to year. Nobody freaking knows. Even when you see a child, we've seen children that have completely transitioned entirely who they are into something that was never understandable as part of who or what they were. And you want to tell me that this is legit? Conspiracy theory hat here for a second, okay? This could just be programmed to be like, oh, I don't think you'll work for me. I think that there is something wrong with you. Kill yourself. And that is your future. This does not inspire. This does not help anybody. This does not encourage anything. It just says, I see your future. I'm going to put you in a box. Now go into the box. That is not thought. That is not helpful. That is not anything. I don't understand who this kind of thing would be for, except tarot card. Now, where are they getting all of this information? What are they paying for? What are you paying for? What are other people paying for when they use these things? Well, Meta's new AI image generator was trained on 1.1 billion Instagram and Facebook photos. I wonder how many of those are CSAM. Let's just, yeah, they're using you. They're scraping your data. They're selling your data. Here's another one. Dropbox automatically opting people into generative AI. So if your stuff is stored on Dropbox, automatically being sucked into the generative AI stuff so that they can learn from you and your data and your pictures, whatever it is. And you have to go in and turn it off in order to not be used. This is just more confirmation of the 1.1 billion images used. So Facebook and Instagram, Meta, all of them betraying their user bases that actually made their websites popular and profitable by now scraping the data off of them without consent and using that. And you've got OpenAI suspends a ByteDancer account after it used GPT to train its own AI model. So no competition against them or you get banned, but they will happily take your stuff. Is this kind of painting a picture of what's going on? It's not to help you. It's not to provide for you. It is to take you, sell you, and then they'll figure out if you're worth it or not. And if you're not, they're going to have the robot tell you that you're worthless and then tell you what to do from there. Going over here, so in case you didn't know, Twitter recently instituted its own ChatGPT style thing called Grock, which you have to also pay for. Of course you do. And it says over here, under Grock, I cannot fulfill the request as it goes against OpenAI's use case policy. So it looks like Grock might be trained off of ChatGPT's same data and even plagiarizing it with the same TOS. Over here in a massive 96-page update to the class action lawsuit against Stability, DeviantArt, and Midjourney, including new evidence and plaintiffs. Don't listen to the tech bros when they tell you that it's a nothing burger, because again, this goes hard. And this was released on November 30th, so it is moving forward. The copyright claims, the infringements in the generative AI, it is moving forward. It's just moving slowly as you do. I'm getting so sick of these people though. Look, you should sue humans for looking at and remembering art too. It does not work the same. If you think that humans and machines, computers work the same, go and touch grass. I don't have anything nicer to say about that other than go and touch grass. You've been inside too long. You've been staring at your computer waifu too long. Go and touch grass. That's the nicest way that I can say it, because you need human contact. You have become disassociated with reality, that you cannot see humans and machines differently. You do not, or you hate humanity so much that you reject humanity. Going over here with Reed Southern again. Google, quality data is super important to our AI. Where did it come from? How to use it? Google, we'll never tell you. So Google released Gemini with a 60-page report in which they repeatedly say that training data is key, and we find that data quality is critical to highly performing models, while providing almost no information about how it was made, how it was filtered, or its contents. So they continue to just grab information and try to lie to your face by omission of where they're getting the data by not telling you where any of the data is coming from. Don't ask any questions. It's all good. It's all good, sunshine, baby cakes. Yeah, and here, again, AI bro here complaining about somebody else using his code or whatever, or his art, the artwork that he stuck in his portfolio. So it turns out over here, this AI bro who is bragging about stealing people's work and sticking it through a generative AI and saying that it is not theft, is then complaining about how the stuff that he uses is being stolen from him, and so that is AI. How can these people claim to be in the right when they're maliciously weaponizing AI against artists? And here you see Nick Dobos specifically targeting Reed Southern and sticking his images through generative AI in order to teach it, in order to get back at Reed. Further down here with Combat Muffin, you have, just so you know, the big reason why it's hard to fight legally is because it's sometimes difficult to prove it was indeed your work that was trained on. But this dude blatantly posting malice. Malicious infringement is penalized by tripling the damages, which, yeah, they're very blatantly braggarts about how much they want to hurt you, which tells me that there is something more than money behind this. Whether it is anger, it's jealousy, it's something, that's for sure. Because we got the same person right here who was in the last one saying, laughing my ass off at how many artists are shitting on this. This was the opportunity to make your case and convert me to your cause. Instead, lazy ass artists with no talent want someone to blame and yell at. There goes my sympathy for you losers. Time to double down. So I've seen this attitude specifically on my own feed and in my videos where they're such liars. Like, I'm not gonna pussyfoot around this. They're liars. Some of them will come in and be like, you know, I was on your side until I actually saw you talking like a human being and you had emotion. What the frick is emotion? Well, now I'm just blatantly against you because you had emotions. You talked passionately, and now I am against you. Okay, so you are so not firm in your beliefs that seeing somebody have an emotional response to being stolen from is enough to change your mind on whether or not it's a good thing? No. These people are full of manipulation tactics of saying, you know, I was on your side, but actually, now that you actually said something, I'm going to say that I am against you. They were never on your side. They want you to never say anything. And so they do this so that you think that you maybe lost somebody, that you maybe have somebody to please, because they know a lot of people are people pleasers, don't want to make anybody mad, don't want to make waves, don't want to be personally insulted, and they try to take advantage of that. It's really pathetic, to be quite honest. I've seen so many of them specifically come through the shad thing where they try to make you feel bad. They try to insult you. And it's so pathetic. So that you cave, or so you say that you're sorry, or so that you go, oh, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm just talking about my thoughts, my guy. And you're not going to convince me to be against what I believed previously because, oh, you changed your mind to be against me. Wow. I wish my mind was as easy to change as yours. Then maybe you could manipulate me. Over here we go to Savvy Travy, who says OpenAI fully lobotomized their flagship product. It's just awful now, and on top of that, they won't even let you submit through the API if the prompt has a bad word. Weak. Super weak. So they will always be in control of where your thoughts are allowed to go through their machines. You're just lucky that they tell you that they're putting limits on it right now instead of making you think that the possibilities are endless while not telling you that they are limiting your possibilities. Reminder here, since we're getting to the end of what I have to say here, we got a couple more reminders and a little bit of good news at the end. I mean, it might feel like not good news when you're talking about generative AI and all of the theft and all of the abuse and the different kinds of abuse, but there are good things. Number one, actors, voice actors, even writers now, especially when you're going into the field. I don't know if this is happening in any of the trad publishing anywhere, but check your contracts. Make sure that you don't sign anything that says you are fine with your work being used to train generative AI or signing away your likeness, your voice, your characters, anything. Read your work carefully and keep ownership of yourself because that is what you have and that is what they are trying to steal from you. Over here, we also have Storygraph, which is an alternate to Goodreads that has recently implemented an AI-generated short summaries. I don't know why you don't just put a section for user-generated short summaries, because it is a book website. So why would you not encourage people to talk about books, like, you know, encouraging people to do summaries of the books that they read? That starts conversation. Whatever. For me, Bookgraph used to be Storygraph used to be an alternative that was worth looking into. If it's going to use generative AI, no, not so much. Moving over here to Ed Newton Rex, I have a couple things from him, and he is an ex-member of the Stability AI business. He said, using AI isn't a new skill to learn or something that will set you apart because the difficulty of use of the AI systems tends to be zero by design. That's what they mean by democratize art. It's kind of funny how that consistently is an argument as to why generative AI should be allowed, because what about the poor people that don't know how to draw, that have the inability to draw? It democratizes the art, but also it's incredibly difficult to get a good image. Which is it, sweetie? It's become pretty common to hear versions of AI won't replace doctors. Doctors who use AI will replace doctors who don't. This is misleading because it suggests AI usage is a skill that a savvy among us will learn. AI systems can be tricky to use in their infancy. Take the image generator, which at first needed careful prompting to output anything good, but that's only true when the system is immature. AI companies work non-stop to make the output reliably better, whatever the input. Every AI company wants to build a tool that you don't need to be an expert to use. Sure enough, image generators now work with the simplest prompts, so anybody saying that they are somehow an AI generative wizard is a liar. They are literally made for the lowest common denominator. If your images are getting better, it's not because you are doing anything better. Don't be fooled into thinking that the great new human skill is emerging in the form of controlling AI systems. Generative AI will be part of all of our lives for good or ill, but it won't be hard to use. And that's the whole point. So yeah. People often say that AI should be able to train on anything and everything without consent because that's how humans learn. I remember seeing that a couple of times in this video. Why should copyright stop AI learning but not humans? This is a false equivalency for at least two reasons. First, AI scales. A single AI trained on all of the world's content can produce enough output to replace the demand for much of that content. No individual human can scale in that way. Second, human learning is part of a long-established social contract. Every creator who wrote a book or painted a picture or composed a song did so knowing that others would learn from it. That was priced in. This is definitely not the case for AI. Those creators did not create and publish their works within the expectation that AI systems would learn from it and then be able to produce competing content at scale. And the social contract has never been in place in the act of AI training. AI training is a different proposition from human learning based on different assumptions and with different effects. It should be treated as such. So there's an argument, a very good, clear argument, at least in one way, for why what about humans versus machine learning? I hear lots of people say that we shouldn't fear AI replacing jobs because if you look in the past, technology has always added more jobs than replaced, but previous technological innovations tended to either be specialized, only replacing some jobs, or still required significant human skills to use efficiently. Given the AI's general purpose will replace jobs in many fields and tends towards minimal skill requirements for operations, some fear for the employment market feels justified. And Reed over here is saying, we are just going to ignore their big red flags. That is the constant don't be afraid, don't panic rhetoric around the AI. Maybe it's just me, but when I have to see this stuff like this on the daily, it really starts to become a little suspicious. And that is just, don't be afraid of AI. Don't panic about AI. Just like the constant feed of the same phrase again and again and again saying, don't worry, I am not a threat. Don't worry, I am not a threat. If you had somebody constantly reminding you that, hey, so, good friends here. I'm not a threat to you. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then you're like, I didn't think you were a threat. Where did that come from? Why do you keep saying that you're not a threat to me? I'm scared. And that's what the generative AI right here is doing. Going over to Nicholas Cowart says, even if they solve theft, I don't care to see or read or listen to what the algorithms extrudes. I want my art to come from real humans with lived experiences and points of view. I never knew some others didn't care until AI exposed the rift. In my opinion, art must be human to matter. And this kind of goes also with the book review I recently did for The Origin of the Sky, because that book is about passing on stories. It's about building the next generation, the next lore, to share the lore from behind, that we are made up of the places that came before us, of the people that came before us, of the things that we have learned, of the people that loved us and that cared for us. And we pass that on through our words, through our stories, through our actions, and that is what art is. And without human involvement, there is no purpose. Without the love of that community, without the creation of those connections, there is no purpose to it. And the same reason I will not ever see a value in art product created by machines. There's just no value to it. There's no person in it. I touch these pieces of art to have a communication with the artist. Doesn't happen with a robot. Jesse Owens, AI didn't democratize art, artists did. Free YouTube tutorials, sketch pages, advice blogs, work in progress, mentorships, AMAs, process videos, sharing materials, stock references, resources, and techniques. These are all freely available to anyone who wants to learn, and I can tell you for sure I have a section of a playlist on YouTube that is art resources of things that I have been collecting to study to help me learn to better how to draw as I've been drawing this year. I have a folder of probably well over 1,000 images for references of different poses and styles and forms and ideas for me to draw to try to get better at anatomy and expression and figuring out my style, because I'll just do a general thing and figure it out. I wish I I wish I didn't want to draw as much so that I could study more, but then also I am at the point of feeling a little overwhelmed with how much stuff I have to finish by the end of the year, and also just like... It's a lot. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's fun, and I really wanted to draw Daisy with the soap and Marcella with the peaches. I'm really looking forward to it, but sometimes you also wish you could just be a little better than you are. But I feel like that's a constant for a lot of creators because they look at where they are, that's not where they want to be. And we're kind of stuck with that vision. But you get there. It's there. You can learn, but you got to put in the work. And a lot of people make the excuse, well, I don't have the time. And if you don't have the time, that's fine, but that means that there is work put into it, so don't steal it. Finally, read Southern coming in one more time. But according to a 2021 survey, around 77% of employees in the arts and design industry are freelancers. This compares to only 20% of employees in the industry of manufacturing, which shows a huge difference also in the replacement of jobs. It was a minority of people that were in the manufacturing that were replaced with machines. It is almost the entirety, almost 80%, 4 out of 5, that are freelancers in art. So keep all of that in mind. Don't give up on the art. Find the things that you love. Do the things that you love. I will be creating in the new year. I will be hopefully finishing Bodymore Zero and getting into the Westies, and hopefully I will see my art change even more over the next 12 months because this year, look forward to the video on, I think it was going to be Tuesday, Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Look forward to the video on Wednesday where it's going to be everything, most everything that I drew this year. And you can see how my art and confidence in my art changed over the year, and it's still not good, but it's better than where it started, and it's just a long process. And if that's how much it can change in 1 year, I'm looking forward to seeing how much it changes this year. You don't see it happen as it happens, but you do see it once you get to the end. So always keep your work, always keep confidence, even when you're feeling sick of yourself. You will get better. What you put your mind to, what you put your soul to, no matter what it is, you will do it and you will succeed. Make it happen. I believe in you. Now is the time to challenge yourself for a new habit that maybe you could quit in 2 weeks. But even when you quit, make sure to have the hope to say, I will start that again tomorrow. With that said, thank you so much, everybody, for the incredible year on YouTube, for the incredible year of just growing the channel, of growing the community, of reading incredible books, books that I've loved, books that I have not loved, books that have created a new tier of terribleness. That's also coming. But thank you everybody for being around, and I hope next year I find more books to love and more books to just enjoy in a variety of places and get to share more new stuff with you guys. With that said, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Happy New Year. And don't die.
Was that Wayland Cross in the trunk? Do you know, or is that something that's still being figured out? The person in the trunk was not Wayland Cross. Is he in trouble? We don't know who did it, but as the owner of the car, the longer he's missing, the worse it looks for him. Cross isn't a killer. For the last couple of years, the average number of murders in Baltimore has been over 300, and it's been going up. Mind you, that's only whatever the badges count as official murder, and believe me, there are people that don't count when they die. Wayland? If you're down here, tell me. I'm not talking to the badges, I've been looking for you. They found a body in your trunk. Way. Why? Did you do that? To the left, plain black letters read along the wall. You walked in the corridor. Once that ends, you chose the dark is on the right. My vision goes blurry, flickers black and black and black for longer intervals until I can't see anything at all. I'm not screaming anymore, but my voice echoes back to me. Where the hell am I? You're dead, Josephine. Even smart people do stupid shit sometimes, right?